Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Bitcoin and Beyond. I'm Melanie Costens, and today we are joined by OKIN coming to us live from Namibia. Welcome, OKIN. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Melanie, and thanks for having me. And salutations to everybody out there, whichever time of the day it is.
Yeah, I know. And we're in crypto where there is no time and there is no day. It's just all the time. Okay, well,
Exactly.
All right. Okay, so we joined, as I said, by OKIN. OKIN is a very interesting human being. I hope you're a human being.
I hope so too.
And he's just got so many roles. He's from sort of on the creator side, musician, poet, podcaster, writer, through to Bitcoin entrepreneur, and really a person who's striving to bring Bitcoin through the African continent in kind of, I'd say, easily accessible to our continent, where I think mobile first is probably the best way to go. But let's start it off right at the beginning. This show's about Bitcoin. So tell us your Bitcoin story. When did you find Bitcoin, or how did it find you?
Interesting question or interesting story. But before that, I just want to say your jingle at the beginning, I really like it. It's got like that. It's got a nice tone to it.
I like to get you in the mood.
I was literally like that, tapping my foot there for a minute. So the first time I heard about Bitcoin, 2012, roughly. I think it was roughly 2012. We were in studio, and the producer who was busy recording us, he actually started talking to us about Bitcoin, and he was like, "Guys, you guys need to know about this Bitcoin thing. It's going to be the future." And we were like, "Bro, hit record. Like, we wanna release our tracks. We want to go on tour. We're not caring about this Bitcoin thing that you're talking about and financial. Well, forget financial freedom. We want to be on tour. We want to be on stages." So we didn't listen to him, but he subsequently became the man that got me into Bitcoin when I literally listened at the end. So I didn't listen in 2012, and then 2016, I went to China to do my MBA. So 2012, that's when we had Black Vulcanites. We released our first album in 2013. We were signed to Rude World Records in South Africa, in Cape Town, and then we released Remember the Future was our first offering, and then that did really well. That got us, some movement, and songs started going into things like BBC, and then 2015 I got the opportunity to apply for my MBA. So 2016 I went to China, and when I was there, everybody was like on the Ethereum buzz and everything. 2016, 2017, they were like, "Hey, you should really come to these things, it's interesting, you sound like I was like, "No, I'm I'm here for my MBA, and to chill out and have fun." And after that, came back to Namibia. And only during COVID, it was a two-pronged thing. My brother was in Dubai. I had to send him his money, and Western Union was killing me on fees. So I complained about that. And literally, the same guy becoming full, he came back and was like, "Hey, this is I told you already, Bitcoin's the answer." I was like, "Dude, I'll call you. Like, walk me through it." And half an hour later, my brother had the money. So then I was like, "I'll figure this out." And at the time I was doing my podcast, #FromTheJump. And I was like, I needed to monetize it, because we started really getting good numbers, internationally, started trending in different countries. So I really wanted to say how to monetize it, and just tweeted about it. And then again, becoming full was like, "Hey, figure out how to run a Bitcoin node, figure out how to run a Lightning node, and monetize it through Bitcoin." And then I did. So I became the first podcaster in Africa to be paid in Bitcoin via the podcasting 2.0 protocol from Adam Curry, who is the godfather of podcasting.
Wow, what a story. What a fascinating story.
Yeah,
So it sounds like it starts with music, goes through to an MBA, and ends up as a Bitcoin miner who is strongly working on the continent too. I mean, that is a story in itself. So
yeah.
let's try and break that down. It's fascinating because I'm not sure if you know, but I've worked in the music industry for 20 years. So I think that was why I came to Bitcoin, was because of music and because of trying to find a better way for musicians, in terms of ownership and in terms of kind of, getting the value that they deserve for the music. So tell me about that. So you started off as a musician. That was kind of I left school and I went into into music?
No, not necessarily. So I only got into music when we signed our deal firstly, but like 2012, basically after I finished my degree. So I went after school. I went to Cape Town, and I literally studied my honors in international business administration. Once I got that, I started working in Cape Town for a while. I graduated, can't remember, 2009 or something, and then I just continued working in Cape Town. I got my honors, and while I was there, I've been a poet all my life. I mean, since like 11 years old, I started writing poetry, and we just, continued. So I was always a written poet, and then around 2011, one of the three members that would become the three-member group, Black Vulcanite, of which I'm one, a childhood friend, he passed away sadly last year, January. Ali, that dude. So rest in peace to him. And he one day he just called me and he was like, "Dude, I've got the song with another rapper, and we need a poet, and I know you can do it. So like, come through and like get in studio. Like, you've already opened a show for me in Cape Town. It went great. So like, let's do this." And yeah, so I went into studio. We created what was recorded on my mother's birthday, actually, 17th of January 2012. We recorded "I Hope They're Right." And that song would spawn Black Vulcanite and the two albums that came afterwards, and all of that. So I actually started off just as a poet. I mean, I've always just been a poet in my eyes. I enjoy writing and the wordplay, and then that got added into a hip hop poetry group that was more about conscious hip hop and Black identity on a continent of Africa. So that's how I actually, after school or after the first work strip, got into music, and that was a great journey.
Yeah, I can imagine. Isn't it just? That's, I think, some of the might be better than going to university is actually trying to be a musician. My husband is a musician, and there's like a famous kind of quote from the early days, because I mean, we had a lot of sanctions here in the country, in the music industry back in the day. And my husband said, being a musician is like climbing up a mountain with a piano strapped to your back, throwing away money as you go up. And it's kind of like,
yeah, it's
the university.
but you never. So yeah, that's the whole thing. Like you gain so much experience and knowledge of like what happens, things that you probably shouldn't say on podcasts, but you learn a lot of things about the world and how to navigate it. I mean, there was a point in time where we were touring in Cape Town. We had a bunch of shows every weekend, but I had work, and I would literally fly back to Namibia, and then I'd drive back like on the weekend, and then drive. So like, it was a whole thing of like, how do we make it work for three people to be on stage and actually be able to get paid? So yeah, as you said, university of life. There's no clear-cut way, but I wouldn't give it back for anything. It was great.
Yeah. I think, and I mean, I'm looking forward to speaking. We're actually, for those of you watching, we're actually going to meet in real life next week. The week after next, we are speaking on an artist's panel at Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town. So shout out to Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town for having the both of us. Let's go. We'll see you there. And we're going to be talking about sort of art and Bitcoin and the importance of that role. So, I mean, we'll kind of jump around a bit because, like I said, you've got a very interesting story. But let's go from the sort of similarities and the things that you do learn when you are working in a creative industry or creative environment, and on the African continent, and how that kind of opens your eyes up to the real sort of ethos of Bitcoin and understanding why, more than, hodling Bitcoin or sort of changing the world into, on this broader scale. It's just the sort of individual need for it in terms of, and I think, in terms of music, understanding what ownership really is.
Correct.
Because there is none. And then, so that from the sort of creative side, and then from the living on an African continent, it's very different working with Bitcoin in Africa than it is in, a first world
Europe
country.
Correct.
In Europe or America. So let's talk a little bit about those two things. I mean, I know they're broad, but I do think with your background, I think that might have been what drove you to where you are now. And sort of let's let's talk, because I think those are important points for people to understand.
No, definitely. I completely agree with you. I mean, for the most part, I always see myself as a creative. I'll always be a creative, right? Like creating something where there was nothing, or like bringing in, or taking something that was a fantasy in your mind and bringing that to reality, or being able to express it in a way that other people can take in and understand it, is, for me, it's like magic, you know. And when you create something in that manner, you want to, it's almost like a baby. It's like having a child, like something so precious that you want to not control it, but you want to safeguard it. You want to make sure nothing is out there trying to, damage this beautiful thing that you put into this world. And for me, even when we did our record deal, it was very important because I grew up in a family that has politics and lawyers, and so for me it was very important to understand what is on the paper and how are we going to implement things if things go wrong, because in the music industry things go wrong. So, so
And
I
there's
was like,
sometimes no paper.
most of the time there's no paper, so at least we had papers and we had lawyers look over papers. So at Black Vulcanite, we from the beginning, exactly from the jump, we had rights and ownership of our creative, like all of it was ours.
Okay.
So we didn't give up our creative rights at all when we signed our deal, which was very important to us. Well, not all of it. We had to give up a little bit for them, of course, to go do what labels do, but that was a percentage that we got back once our deal had reached a certain point. So either way, we still got back. We had our full control of how we wanted the group to be portrayed and seen in the greater scope of our legacies. And I think that's something that a lot of artists don't do. They see the flashing lights. They see the, hey, here's the champagne bottles. We're gonna, your signing party at the club, and everybody's like, yes, let's go. And they forget, like, what does the paperwork say? So for me, it's always been very important to know where we stand, what are we getting, what is expected of us, and what are we supposed to do. Now, moving throughout actually being an artist, it's all great in wording, what I'm saying, but when you're in the position and people are like, bro, come on, man, sign the deal. Like, we got to do this other thing. Like, finish this off and let's get going. We ain't got time. We need to get on to do. And even you at some point are like, it's true, man. Why am I being such a dumbass? Like, let's go. And then you realize, no, I was supposed to pay attention because there were certain things that could have saved headaches. And that's the thing. Like, it's not about not trusting people and whatnot. It's about trying to see what you can't see and just, protect yourself from that. And with Bitcoin, for me, in the artistry sense of it, it allows so much leeway of control to say, it's almost like privacy. When people say privacy isn't about trying to hide something, it's about, giving out the portions you want to when you want to of information. Instead of mandatorily having to give everything out and then trying to pull back, you decide what goes out. And in that same way of control of your own creativity and the assets that you create, I think Bitcoin is one of the greatest things that we've ever had. And the way I think about it mainly is, as artists, if you go back into time and you think about what value for value meant, it's generally seeing a guitarist standing on, a street corner playing guitar, and the guitar case is in front, or a hat, and people that enjoy the music put money into the guitar case of the hat. That is value for value. That is the oldest form of value for value that we've ever had. Now, with the Bitcoin protocol of podcasting 2.0 and the value for value protocol, what that does is it brings that into a digital age where, hey, here is my art on a platform. You cannot download it, right? You cannot buy it in this form as it is on this platform. But what you can do, if you enjoy the art that I've put out, you can give me value for the value that you receive. Maybe you make a playlist on it, like, again, almost like a Bandcamp type of a thing, right? Because we all understand how Bandcamp works. You're like, I like this artist. Maybe give some money. Maybe they can get studio time, not the full album. You don't have to buy the album, but you can support the artist in their pursuit to get better at their craft. And that is, I think, Bitcoin allows us in its purest form, because all you need is to see a QR code. You can literally have that same artist, instead of having the hat, they have a QR code. You scan it, you pay. You walk into a cafe and there's literally a painting on a wall. You can't pay for the painting. It's too expensive. But it changed your day. It made you feel something inside. It's a QR code. You can scan it and you can tip the artist. You can say thank you for that. And I hope that you from this can maybe buy bread and paint more or whatever. But
Yeah.
in that, it is truly from artist to recipient of that art, and from the recipient back to the artist, with everything else that has created what we call the music industry obfuscated. It's just out of the way now. It's me and you talking, and it's not us talking through people that charge us to talk. You know, and that's generally how I view that relationship for mine.
I absolutely love what you just said. I've worked in this industry, like I said, I think for going on 30 years, and I've never thought of it like you've just, and I've thought of everything. The idea that if we don't support an industry as a whole, that industry is going to break. And that's what's happened. What's happened, we need the reverse of Spotify, not where everything comes
Yes.
for free, but where we give tiny increments the other way. We need to change the way things flow. And you know, if you think about art, those things we visually stimulated and orally stimulated all day long. Those are our memories. That artists store our evidence. They are the proof that we're here and what it looked like. So I love that framing. Okay, and I really love it, of the idea that it doesn't necessarily also have to be about total ownership. Like, I don't have to own that song. I don't have to own that painting. I can just support the industry around me. I really love how you phrase that.
And just to build on what you said, because it's one of the points I try to make when I speak to Bitcoiners, when I speak at conferences, is, you know, we're all talking about Bitcoin and this new age true digital money, and when we say money, we mean actual money, not but like that can be utilized, that can be sent globally. Like when we speak about it, we also speak about a battle between, you know, the old system and the new system. Now, when you look at battles, when you look at wars that go for years, right? Back when you look in history now, we're talking about like Middle Ages and all of that. Now, how did those, you know, the frontline fighters, the actual people that were dying and seeing their friends die next to them and continuing on and then going back to camp and then, you know, going out again in the next day, what kept them going? When the general dies that they followed into battle, they still go on. What keeps them going? What continues for the next generation? It's the artists. It's the ones that write the songs, that sing the ballads. They are the ones that carry the message into victory. It's not just the strong fighters. They fight because they know I will be in glory. They will sing about me. If they don't sing about you because there's no artist, that battle doesn't continue. And in Bitcoin, truly, we do need the artists. More than most people. Yes, we need the developers. Yes, we need the builders. But who sings their praises? Who puts them into timeless pieces of information? It's the artists, the writers, the singers, the painters. Those are the people that create jewelry. They are the ones that put your name into the history books. Because the rest can also be erased. They can rewrite history books. But the songs, and again, from an African standpoint, there's before written, there was oral traditions of carrying the spirit on, and that continues today. That is why artists are so powerful, and we forget that in movements like that, or like this, that we need those artists. We need them to understand that I, maybe as a developer, can create a piece of software, and maybe 1,000 people use it. Hopefully, 1,000 people use it. Hopefully, 10,000. But I, as an artist, can create a piece of art, die. Nobody creates that art onwards, and somebody finds it, and again, it sparks something in them. I can literally live on through that art that I created till the end of time.
Yeah.
And in that, Bitcoin itself, even when all humans are gone, the art pieces that are there, that are left over, the technology, those are the things that people will, or whatever species, will be able to be like, oh, there was a civilized society here, because they actually had arts and a way to carry that on from generation to generation. They had culture. And that's how you show that. It's not arguments on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. I come from a marketing and advertising background, and I always used to say, Coca-Cola, a can of Coca-Cola is just a tin on a warehouse floor with some fizzy liquid in it unless there's marketing and advertising behind it, you know, and those are creators as well, creating the visuals, telling people the story of why they need Coca-Cola, you know, and don't just leave it as a tin can on the floor. And I think, look, I mean, if we look back, you know, at the myth of Satoshi Nakamoto, that is also a story. You know, we need a story, and it gives Bitcoin even more and more importance over time. And you spoke of oral tradition, you know, which is how, I mean, more so, I think, than anywhere, the African culture is so tied to, you know, sitting around and passing stories through, you know, generation to generation. And so that as well is, I think, where Bitcoin as a store of culture, not just a store of wealth, becomes so important, because you know, there's a lot of sort of misappropriation. There's people, you know, a lot of artworks are owned by foreign countries, you know, or they're stolen or they're broken. Books, we don't even know really what the history of the world is. I mean, let's face it.
Keeps getting changed.
It began like, I don't know, like when the church began. So, you know, but before that, you know, and I think that is what I love so much about Bitcoin and Bitcoin ordinals, is the fact that we can put our history and our stories fully on chain and nobody can ever burn it. You know, as long as there's a Bitcoin node running, our story, nobody can erase the story anymore.
But here's the problem with that, right? And I have to push back on ordinals, because as a person that runs 3 nodes, once ordinals started, I couldn't run Raspberry Pi nodes efficiently anymore, right? Because again, when we store as much data as ordinals are on chain, you bloat the UTXO set. So now the set used to be like, let's say, and remember, a Raspberry Pi is like, let's say, 8 gigabytes of RAM, right? 4 to 8 gigabytes of RAM. If it takes more processing power than that to be able, the Raspberry Pi is now defunct. I now need to go get other hardware. So there's also the thought pattern of saying, by putting these things on chain, what we are doing is we are cutting out those that are not able to run nodes on the most recent hardware, the 2 terabytes and all of that. So what happens is you get less node runners. And the less node runners we have on this network, because remember, it is decentralized because of the miners and the nodes that are ran by the individuals, not by corporations, the individual nodes. Now, if the individuals can't run the nodes anymore, and I'm talking not even Lightning nodes, I'm talking about Bitcoin nodes, because Lightning nodes rely on Bitcoin nodes. So now you're cutting out the feet and the legs, and now you've got arms that can't move around. And the reason that I say this is because we do have the liquid chain. So we can put this on chain with Bitcoin, but on our side chain that is created for purposes like this, which is liquid. And then in that way, we get best of both worlds. We do not increase what it takes to actually run a node and maintain one. Because as large as I get, as you know, hardware prices are going skyrocketing because of AI. So now we also have that as another competitor that we didn't think about coming in. So if we really want Bitcoin to be able to do everything that we just said, we need to take ordinals, and because I do agree, there are cases where you want to have data forever on something that cannot be tampered with. But we do have a solution for that. It's just a side chain, which is cheaper for artists to use, cheaper for everybody to use actually to do this, and also cannot be messed with the same way because it relies on the actual security of the Bitcoin layer 1 chain. And that for me is us using all of the tools that we've actually built over this time in a way that is a win-win for everybody. Those that truly believe in the monetary value of Bitcoin and do not want to see it as a use case for everything, and those that say, hey, this is actually, in essence, a true database, and databases are there to store data of different sorts. Now, we can do that in this hybrid approach, which we've had the solution forever, as far as I know. Like, Liquid has been there for a very long time, but we haven't been using it the right way because we've been looking at it as an either or. And we really just need to merge them, and we can have the best of both worlds. I truly believe, instead of people arguing on Twitter about this, I used to argue a lot about the ordinals thing. But looking at the fact that people see value in it, how do we attach that to Bitcoin? And even with like the podcasting 2.0, you could not do that on Bitcoin layer one. You needed the Lightning Network to come into play. It needed to first exist so that you can have that transfer instantaneously from consumer to producer without a single party in between that needs to be, the problem, or the bottleneck. So yes,
100%. I do agree with you, because I mean, I was there from day one with the ordinals, and you'll know as well where it went from. I mean, now what is it? It's about 1 or 2 sats per VByte. It went up to over 100 sats per VByte. So
it was crazy.
It just became too expensive to use. So I think I remember a lot of conflicting thoughts about it myself at the time, and I 100% agree with you. And again, I can't stand saying it, but it's so early that I think we're kind of, we haven't yet seen the full ability or use cases for what Bitcoin can do. And sitting there as we so often call it, like a base layer, it is it's going to hold everything up on top of it. And I use the word ordinals because I think I try and refer to something that's not an NFT. And something greater than that. And I don't think that the buck is going to stop with ordinals. I agree with you. I think it is going to, because we have to have something.
There will be
that can just like money can last forever, and we need to be able to take our history, our stories, our minds, and I think specifically around AI. When how do we know what's true and what isn't true anymore? And we're going to have to record the truth in some way and proof of identity in some way or the other, So yes.
Great. Well said. And in that vein, exactly why we have Nostr. Exactly why we have Nostr. It's more, the beauty of Nostr is it's not a social media platform. It is literally a communications channel that things can be built upon. I mean, I'm both busy building out an app on Nostr, and I find it so amazing to be like, we can have digital identities attached to immutable data that literally, because it's gone via so many relays, you can't take down. Even if you stop one relay, I can run 5 relays. Like, what are you gonna do? It's like running a Bitcoin node, but like a Bitcoin node on drugs. Like, it's very weird. But you can literally do so much. And again, it's a layer that does even more than, I always tell people, Bitcoin to me is like when you build a house. You build the foundation, you build it well, and you build it once. You don't go back and chip up the foundation and put other things in. No, you start building walls, and you put in beams, and you build roofs, and you build layers and layers and layers upon it. And in that, we're now at a point that people can build layer 3 apps now using layer 2 Lightning and all of that. So I truly believe that everything that people want to build and are like arguing about on Twitter, really, we actually have the solutions and the avenues exist. We're just not using them. We're just not using them because there's so much. I think people forget what has happened, and then AI came and confused everybody, But even for artists, I mean, if I look at the first time I went on Wavelake and I looked at this platform, and it was very early. They were in alpha beta mode. Like, I had to write in and be like, I want to test this out. Like, let me test it out. And once I understood how it worked, I called the guys from Black Vulcanite. Now, the last time we released an album was 2016, before I went to China. So like literally before that August, we released our second studio album, and then I left. And that was the last album we ever released. But the beauty of what happened was when I found Wavelake, I called the guys. I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna take all of our music, I'm gonna upload it to this platform, and I'm gonna do the splits. All of you need to just get yourselves an account so I can do your split. This is get your Bitcoin wallet. So they all set themselves up. Then I called the producers and I was like, get yourselves on Wavelake and you'll get your split. So then every single track that I uploaded, I said, all right, 3-way split. Well, we made it 4-way because of producers. So 3-way for us as the artists, right? 25, 25, 25. And then of course we keep it a little bit and then the producer got theirs. So every time somebody pays a Black Vulcanite song zaps it on Wavelake, everybody got paid. There was no, hey man, where's my session? Like I didn't get paid. Dude, I got paid, so I know you got paid. Like, go check your wallet. We all got paid. The splits were done. But the cool thing is now you have as an artist, and this blew my mind because I was sitting there like, what? You can sit in studio, finish an entire song with everybody sitting there and upload the splits. Okay, you're getting so much, you're getting so much, you're getting, and upload it, and we're done. That song is now out there. There's no, let's have conversations with our manager.
And receive your money. I'm sorry, recorded, sent, splits. Yeah.
For life. Like you see, so now again, RIP Ali there, dude, Ali's wallet, I don't have access to it. But if you pay BV, that wallet still gets its split.
Yeah.
So what happens to that split? You see, so you have to understand it's one of those things where as an artist you start really saying, wow, I can really get value for what I think my art is. If you really want to see do people think my art is great, put it out there and give people the ability to pay for it. And just if you like it, tip me whatever. Tip me whatever. You can 1 Satoshi, 10 Satoshi, whatever you feel it gave you value for. And giving people that option also is like empowering to them. They're like, oh, I'm not being told it's $9 US. I'm being told, hey, if you feel this was worth $3 US, give me 3 US. Fine, I'll take the 3 US. If you feel it was worth 50, give me 50. I'm not going to limit you and limit my art form. And again, this is empowering for somebody that creates, It's like, okay, cool. Let's see what it's really like.
Yeah. And for the consumer, I think to have the, for so long, people haven't been given the I don't know how to put it, but or the right words to use, but the value of their own identity to make a choice to do whatever they want to do. A lot of people say we're free, it's all democratic, we walk around, we're all free, and it's like, no, you're not. You're not, because would you be doing this job if you were free and you didn't have to work just to survive? Would you get in your car and just keep driving until you felt like stopping? No, you can't. You can't leave where you live. No. You can't leave your job, So I think, and like you say, it's like 100 Rand to watch Netflix. It's this to watch. So it's kind of like, this is mine, this is yours.
Yeah.
Whereas, the idea of making, and I know it doesn't sound good where everybody owns everything, because that's obviously got negative connotations to it as well. But it's a new kind of ownership and a new kind of identity that I think is still being built, and we don't really even understand it yet.
Correct. And it's true freedom. In my sense, I look at it as almost like the privacy thing. If you think about it in the sense of, I'm not trying to hide, I'm trying to decide what I want to share. The same way with that type of control is, I'm not trying to be, micromanaging every part of my life. I want the freedom to decide how I create, when I create, and how I share what I create, and how I feel when I share what I create. Like if you're creating and you're sharing because I need to pay the bills, versus I'm sharing and I'm creating because I can and I want to.
I trust that people will enjoy it and choose to reward me as well. That's a huge step.
Correct.
Is to kind of
Correct.
let go and say, okay, I actually trust. And it goes as well. I always think to myself, we are taught through laws, as much as the legal system is obviously important. I don't want to, guys, this isn't financial advice. It's not legal advice. And it's just a conversation.
Awesome life advice.
But listen to us, but don't. But I think that we are taught through religion and war, and I don't want to get into this, but is that we are bad. We are fundamentally bad, and that's why we need laws. That's why we need to be told, like children, what we can do with our money, how we can send it, where we can send it. Instead of, and it's probably naive, but I still believe that people are good, and if they're bad, then they must go hang with the bad. But anyway, I think we go. I don't want to get philosophical.
I do agree with you to a certain degree, because like I've always believed people are people. It's like a hammer. A hammer is neither good or bad, is it? It's the intent. So you have people, and sometimes people have good intentions, and sometimes they have bad. Like even people that are regarded as bad people sometimes have good intentions. I mean, Some people that are regarded as good have bad intentions also. So I think people are people, and circumstances and their own decisions
Yeah,
change things as time goes.
yeah. And that's the thing.
Just to
That's
not leave you hanging on it.
no, but I mean, something I really believe in is gonna bad, and
Yeah.
that's why I love the choice that you have with Bitcoin, you know. But anyway, let's kind of, I want to talk about all the other things um, that you're involved with. Let's let's go back to Namibia and your kind of work
Mhm.
from Namibia through Africa, and on the one side there's EasySats, and then there's also
Yeah.
the Bitcoin mining side of things. Which came first,
Right.
and
Okay.
how do they kind of fit together? And let's
Hmm.
talk also. I'm fascinated. That's how we actually got to be talking. I just stumbled across something on X about, I think that somebody retweeted, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, let's talk about both of those and then sort of lead into where you
Awesome.
want to take it. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, when I started my podcast, it was literally because before that I was running a consumer insights and a marketing firm, and it was fun. I mean, I got great contracts. We were making money. Then COVID hit. Like I was still doing voiceovers. I was making great money. I was enjoying life, and then COVID hit. And nobody needed voiceovers. Nobody needed insights because nobody could go out. And I couldn't. I mean, like people were like, "I'm not doing any of these. I'm just gonna chill. I can't do anything anyway." So I already had everything led to everything. Like even the podcast. I already had the equipment from recording in China, and then sending my tracks and my vocals to the rest of the group, so we could continue to see what are we gonna do. So when COVID hit, I had that, and I was like, let's create the podcast. Cool. From the podcast and like interacting, because the whole point of the podcast was I knew artists around the world that also were sitting at home. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's call each other and have conversations. Artists having conversations that normally nobody gets to see or hear because there's no camera, there's no media around, and we get to talk to each other as artists. It's a completely different conversation. So we did it like that, and then from those conversations, and it grew. And then I was like, okay, how do I, from learning about Bitcoin, make sure my people stop getting scammed? And from that, I was like, okay, Becoming Full's already come on my show. We've had the conversation. We've spoken in real life. I really want to let's throw an event because I'm in this Bitcoin thing now. I'm earning sats for my podcast. I want people to also know and how they can do it, and come on, let's spread the message. So from there, people were like, is this really how it works? Like, show me. And I was like, cool. We do the thing. So became an educational thing. And that's how EasySats came about. And I was like, all right, we need to do this education in a way that people on board, lectures and stuff. So I started what were called TPOK sessions, TPOK, the pursuit of knowledge sessions, which are edutainment. You get a comedian, the comedian makes fun about Bitcoin. I get on stage, I rebut him with facts about Bitcoin that you're now going to learn. And you got a musician, you got a DJ there, DJ spinning, he's got a QR code. Hey, if you want the DJ to change the song, pay the DJ in sets. But the whole setup of it was when you bought your ticket and you came to the door and you presented your ticket, I gave you back half your ticket money in Bitcoin, right? So now, just by coming to the place, to the venue, you on your ticket it said download these two wallets, QR code for Android and iOS. You scan it, you download the wallet, you get there, you already have a Bitcoin wallet. You don't know what to do, but when you get to the front door, here, scan this. Now you have Bitcoin. Hit send, scan the next thing when you want to pay.
Wow.
There's beer and burgers for Bitcoin. So already, just by attending the event, people started. So for me, that's how the educational arm of EasySat started. But the problem was also then, okay, now I have to be here to help these people every time except Bitcoin. That makes no sense. So let's look at how do we make it easy for companies and people to accept Bitcoin and understand how to do it. So then I created EasySats. Like, how is it easy to get your Satoshis, store your Satoshis, all of that. And that's how EasySats came about. Bitcoin mining Namibia came about because while I was learning about Bitcoin and going down every rabbit hole I could find and reading everything I could get my hands on, I was sitting there and I was like, excuse me, how would I get a hold of Bitcoin miners? So since I was in China for my MBA, I contacted the guys in China that I used to buy my computers and speakers and microphones for music from. And I was like, guys, do you know anybody that can get me Bitcoin miners? And they're like, of course, this is China. We produce them. So I started importing. I was like, okay, I bought 3 miners, paid for it, went through the whole process of like, what does customs need? What does DHL need? What does FedEx need if I'm going to use them? How does the process go with the payments going over? All of that. And that started in 2021, 2022 roughly. I started Bitcoin mining in Namibia. And then, so they're basically EasySats and Bitcoin mining in Namibia almost around the same time. And I brought in those miners. And from then onwards, I've been bringing in miners for individuals and companies that want Bitcoin miners. I bring them in brand new or secondhand. Yeah.
What does the sort of mining industry look like in Africa? Is it sort of, you know, yeah, I mean, how is it spreading? Is it spread? Is it still new?
No, I wouldn't say it was new. So this is the crazy thing. When I started speaking publicly about Bitcoin in Namibia, people were like, "Hey man, why are you talking about Bitcoin so loud?" I'm like, "Because it's not a secret. Why weren't you talking about it before? Why were you keeping it?" But then I forgot that there was a time that Bitcoin was illegal in Namibia. 2018, it was illegal. Before 2018, it was illegal to do anything Bitcoin in Namibia. Right? It was you weren't allowed to. Becoming full was the first licensed virtual assets like provider. He was the on-off ramp. It was called Bitcoin Trade Namibia back in 2018, 2019, and now it's called Landifa.com. So literally, he took the brunt. He was like, no, 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 no. Maybe you guys don't understand what this thing is. I'm gonna come. And this is a guy that was telling me about it in 2012 when I wasn't listening. Literally went, sat down with the Minister of Finance, sat down with the governor of the central bank, and was like, here's the Bitcoin standard by Cypherine. Read it. Let's go through it together. Let me explain to you why. And that's why Namibia's law, our Virtual Assets Act, is actually one of the most favorable for Bitcoin on the entire continent, because Bitcoiners were present when the law was being discussed. They weren't shying away in the shadows. They were there. They were saying, no, that's not going to work. No, you shouldn't do it like this. Let's look at it like this, and literally engaging. Now, when that act was written, I was one of the Bitcoiners in the room, because the government, because of becoming full engagement before, they were more welcoming to listen to the stakeholders and say, you know what, come to the Bank of Namibia. We'll put aside an entire day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. and you guys can tell us why and why not. Why we should try it, why we shouldn't do this, why. And we did. We were there. A couple of us were there, and they took us to heart. They put those into the points. It went to Parliament. Some of us also spoke to parliamentarians and told them this is the whys and what, and we got the act passed. Now, is it perfect? No. But is it something that we can work with? Yes, very much so. So also in that, things like Bitcoin mining are included. They're thought about in the plan. And again, like as long as you're paying your electricity cost, so that is a Namibian aspect. But you have to understand, when you look at the greater Africa, whose laws aren't always as even there yet, it's a thing of how you approach the conversation around Bitcoin mining. Now Gridless is one of the best in the game of how they approach the conversation, right? They're not going in and saying, hey, give us your electricity, we want to mine. They're going in and saying, look, there are communities that are not getting electricity, and we can tell you, we can help set up a mini grid there so that they can get electricity. All we ask is to monetize some of it for some of the day in using Bitcoin miners. And so then they started like that. Now you have what's called Gamma, which is the African Alliance of Miners, which has, I think, more than 7 or 8, closer to 10, 12 member states that you have in like Ethiopia, you have in Zambia, you have different people. So it is growing is the short answer, but it's also more sustainable because Africa has so many different energy sources, whether you're talking hydro, solar, wind, and now solar is becoming more and more of a viable thing. It wasn't so much before, but now it is becoming, because the batteries are also becoming better and all of these things. So when you look at the opportunity for in Africa, a place where the sun is out almost in most of Africa all year round, and you've got running rivers like the Nile, and there's so many resources. And we're not even talking about flaring of gases in Nigeria and any of that yet, which is also crazy, right? So the opportunities for Bitcoin mining in Africa are so beyond amazing. I can't even fathom how far it could go. It's that great, to truly be honest.
Yeah, amazing. I think I think it's yet to be realized properly, what this continent is capable of and what the people are capable of, because it's wide open for this kind of technology. There's nothing that you really need to break down to build, because this is what this technology needs, right? It's things to be broken down, to be rebuilt. And in this country, it's, there's little debt because there's never been the, there's never been the ability, fortunately for us, unbanked can't pile up debt, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about EasySats, and let's talk about why it's important. A lot of sort of Bitcoin, one of the things, Bitcoin is easy to send and receive, but a lot of the, I think one of the drawbacks is remembering these kind of long passwords and, 24 words and that sort of thing. And the fact of, the incredible positive of it is once it's yours, it's yours. It also, you don't have the bank to phone and say, oh, I'm sorry, I lost my password. Can I have my wallet back? Or can I have access to my wallet? So let's talk about how important it is for us to not see this sort of desperate need for extreme security as something that is not going to allow a continent to adopt in the way that it should adopt, if that makes sense. We need to say, okay, yes, we need to forsake, or I don't know what the right word is, but we can't have both. If we wanted to spread and adopt across this entire continent, we need to make it easier to use, and that is mobile friendly.
Correct. Well, I agree with you with the caveat, right? So the cool thing about Bitcoin, and again, it's almost like the liquid layer one conversation of how things go forward, is we actually have so many options that are not being fully explored, right? So how do I phrase this now? It's we don't have to go with the ease versus the security when we can layer it or have a layered approach to say, okay, remember when you were 13? This is a great example. Remember when you were a kid and you got your bob card? You got that first bob. Now, I'm going to show my age now. I know I don't look that, but like when you got your bob card at 13 or 12.
I've never heard of a bob card.
So those are the original F&B cards for those who are uninitiated. So like as a kid, you would get this bob card, and it had like limits and stuff, but it would teach you about banking. It would be the beginning, your initial introduction to what does it mean to be able to have a bank card and be able to withdraw money and how you should save it for yourself and not always spend, and all of that was a learning process. Now that is how I see custodial wallets. Custodial wallets play a part. I'll tell you why. I truly, and I think it's the wallet that I have gotten people to use the most, is Blink Wallet. And the reason I use Blink Wallet isn't just because I love the company and I love the people that work there and it's great. Like, they are great people, don't get me wrong. But it's because within the app, on the bottom right, is a button that says Learn. And that Learn button allows the user to take their own time to say, oh, okay, there's like little quizzes. It tells you a story, then it asks you questions, you answer, you learn, you move on, but you earn 1 Satoshi, then 2 Satoshi. And in that, people are being rewarded on their learning journey. Now, I can't always be around for 100 people to ask me questions, but this app can be there to get them some of the answers. Slowly but surely, while they are stuck. Now, also, there's absolutely no reason to have a hardware wallet that costs 3,000 Rand if you don't have 3,000 Rand, right? If you don't have 3,000 Rand in Bitcoin, why are you buying a hardware wallet that costs? You should take the 3,000 Rand for that hardware wallet and buy more Bitcoin, maybe first.
Yes.
Okay. And as you get to a stage where you have 10,000 Rand, okay, now let's look at hardware wallet. But if you have 1,000 Rand, keep that thing in a custodial wallet. Don't worry about it. If you lose the phone, you can re-download it with what. There's different ways to do this. Because it's all becoming. This isn't 2016. This isn't 2020. This isn't even 2023. This is 2026. We have such better tools, such better guardrails It's how we implement them. So you can start somebody on a custodial wallet. Even when I do our trainings, our educational trainings, we literally have, and I applaud Treasure Academy for how they put that up initially, was they phased it to say if you have 0 to 50 US dollars, use a custodial wallet. If you have between 50 and now you can go to your self custodial setup and in that start learning how to, because it's something that you're starting to value now. And as you go further up and now you have more than what a hardware wallet costs, you can now go and get yourself a hardware wallet. Now, of course, for those that are inquisitive, go ahead and build a hardware wallet. Go get the parts, make a seed signer, right? It's right there for you. You can do it. You don't have to spend thousands. You can start. But if you want to, oh, I like the way that this one looks, okay, you can do it. But again, make sure you at least have double the money you're trying to push into the wallet before you buy the wallet. I mean, that is my true answer is it doesn't have to be either or. I think in Bitcoin, we brought along the fiat concept that it must be this or it must be that. And that is for me not how Bitcoin works. Bitcoin is an adaptive flow state of how do we actually make it work that is the best for the people we try to talk to. Not for everybody. It can be different in the way it's done South America for the way it's done in Southern Africa versus Northern Africa versus East Africa. It can be completely different because the people and the cultures are different. Using the same tool. I mean, we don't all use a braai the same way. Otherwise, everybody would be a braai master. But like, it's still a braai. Just how we use it.
I was talking about a braai. For people who don't know, it's a barbecue in America.
Oh, yeah.
we have a gas one and a fire one, and we set the gas one on fire about 2 weeks. Well, one of my friends did, and the thing was, I mean, there's this gas thing next to it, and he goes, "Don't worry, it's the best place to have a fire if you're going to have a fire." And I was like, okay, a gas thing, but anyway, so yes, not everything.
Oh, that sounds like a good braai.
Okay, so we're going to move back to before we sort of close out because we are coming through to an hour. You've kind of been recognized.
Oh wow, it's almost an hour.
Quick, hey, quick.
Having too much fun.
Exactly. Yeah, I interviewed a builder recently, and before we went live, he said to me, "Look, how long is this going to be?" So I said about an hour. He said, "Look, I don't think I can do more than 15 minutes. Honestly, that's
wow."
An hour and 15 minutes later, I said to him, "Do you know it's been an hour and 15 minutes?"
Okay. You see, it goes so fast. It goes so fast.
You can have fun. That's the thing. We're trying to make Bitcoin fun, right? So that's what we have to do. We're going to show that these are real people, and that is so important for me. The language that we use. You've made some incredible points, and I think it's got to do with the tools that we use, the language we use, it getting people. You spoke about the events where people come and they pay in, their fiat, and they're going to get some back.
Yeah.
So just buying a ticket is earning Bitcoin. And I think when we start not asking people to just keep using their fiat and turning it into Bitcoin, which I think is very scary for people, but to allow people to earn one sat at a time, that's it. And, especially before you know it, you can have 1,000 stats, and then you're like, sats, I'm rich. It sounds rich. Yes.
You've hit the nail on the head, Melanie. You literally have hit the nail on the head. Like, that is literally how I do EasySats. I don't go to people and tell them buy Bitcoin. I literally don't tell people to buy Bitcoin. I never tell people to buy Bitcoin. I tell people, let me show you how to earn it. I earn Bitcoin. Let me show you how to earn it. You can earn it for your goods and services. And I'd rather you learn now while people are still allowing, people to buy Bitcoin with fiat, because what happens when they won't allow you to buy with fiat anymore? You have to earn it. And if you are earning it already for a period of time, you understand the dynamics of earning it. And in that, you win. I truly believe you win.
Yeah, and then you create, these economies, and especially, which I've seen a lot of here is circular economies as well. So huge things happening on this continent, and just about this earning of Bitcoin. And because I think a lot of people, we love the idea of holding Bitcoin, keeping Bitcoin for a long time. But when you don't have even fiat savings or the ability to save your fiat, how do you then save Bitcoin? So yeah, I love that point.
Interesting point. Can I expand on that? That is great. I like that point. So when I got into Bitcoin, and I used to tell people, I don't know why I stopped telling people the story, but when I got into Bitcoin, I was a broke artist. Remember COVID? Like,
Yeah.
as an artist, my artist life for the most part, except for just before COVID hit, I was broke the whole time as an artist, right? Money was a thing that as it came, we used it. Like when we got our sales money, we used it immediately because we were broke. But when I got into Bitcoin,
I want anybody to listening. It's not because of him as an artist. I would say yes, no artists have money. Okay,
we don't make money as artists.
artists,
You make as artists touring and merchandise. That's how you make money as artists. You're not making money off of sales. That's not how that's working. Not really. But so for me, when I really started jumping into Bitcoin and becoming obsessed and like everything was we gotta read more, we gotta do more. That New Year's was the first time I went from earning as an artist and taking that money into a new year. I literally went into a new year and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not broke. Like other people are saying, January, I'm broke. And I'm like, I'm not. I can go get steak right now. I'm good. And that changed so much for me. As a creator of any sort, it showed me that not only did I have the ability to earn this, I had the ability to save in a way that I've never been able to save before. And my Satoshi value, the actual number of Satoshis, does not go down year on year. The fiat value can do this, but the Satoshi value stays here. This is fiat saying this is how much this is worth. It just keeps doing that. But this, I can take it from year to year to year. And if I only count in Satoshis, and that's when I started telling people, no, I price in Satoshis. I don't care how much your fiat is that you have to pay me, but you're going to pay me this much. And then Bitcoin's price did this. And then I had to bring my Satoshi price down. Because otherwise, the consultation was like 30K.
yes.
It's like,
But yeah, and I think another part of the language that you talk about Satoshis and talking in Satoshis, because obviously Bitcoin is terrifying. You're going to buy like 0.00001 Bitcoin, but I think another important thing that you were talking about there in terms of saving is that saving a tiny little bit is also okay. I spoke recently at an event where I had a slide called Bitcoin versus the bank. And it showed what a graph would look like if you put my bank account, to keep my bank account open is 200 and something rand a month, 235 rand a month. Okay? To have an empty bank account. Now, if my husband said to me, hey man, I just want to give you something special every month. Here's $100. 5 years, I would have 0, 0, 0, nothing money. Okay.
Yeah, nothing at all.
If I took it and I put it under my pillow, I would still have only 6,000 rand. If I put 100 rand away for 5 years, I would have 6,000 rand, but I would it would be worth less and worthless.
Yeah, purchasing powers. Yep.
That's right. If I had bought that during that exact same period, 100 rand of Bitcoin a month, I would have had 18,000 rand over the last 5, going back a year. So that I think is the kind of language that we need to start really getting out there. Is you don't need to buy 1 Bitcoin. You need to buy or save 50 rand a month. That's okay, because it's better than taking your 50 rand. It's a box of cigarettes, and I mean, it's a lot of money to a lot of people. So very important. But let's close it off. Just coming back to you, and you've been named one of the most impactful African Bitcoiners. Okay, like you said just now, one of the first to earn Bitcoin on a podcast here. Let's close it off just about that and about reputation. That is another thing that's very important to me as we move forward in a trustless environment. And just besides learning to earn, we spoke earlier about how we aren't given the value of self. I have to live under these rules because I'm not good enough, I'm not whatever. So now let's take ownership of our finances, let's take ownership of our creativity, and let's talk about how important going forward sort of in AI, we'll just touch a little bit on AI and my reputation as a person, and that, you know, as the original currency, and how important it's going to become as a future currency as well, to recognize and to, you know, so yeah, just sort of touch on that. I think it's an important thing for people to understand that being good, they are capable of being good, and being good or building a reputation. Because again, sorry, I'm sort of jumping around here because I want to kind of bring it back as well to this continent and how that is something, you know, if you look at trust, and we, you know, a lot of people are building around the original sort of Stokvel, and, you know, there is like the traditional way of trusting. I will trust you.
Correct.
So now we're taking that trust, we sort of bringing on-chain in, but I still want to just talk about it, that reputation and if that makes sense.
Oh no, totally makes sense. I get what you're saying, and in truth, it's not
decentralized, or credibility in a decentralized environment is kind of what I'm talking about. But it's easy to.
I fully. It is because it's such a almost like an oxymoron when you say it. You know, it's like, yeah, we want trust, we want to know who you are, but we want to have a pseudonym and be, you know, decentralized and everything. And so I truly believe that reputation is and especially in a industry, if we're going to call it that, like what we are in Bitcoin, I think reputation comes from your character, like true character. Like people can tell after a while if you're being fake. If you're really being you, if you're being honestly you, I can find you drunk, I can find you 2 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. when you're jogging, you're going to be the same person, more or less. Like you might be happy, you might be sad, but you're not going to change the core of who you are. So that authenticity of who you are is one factor, right? People really see it. Like it's the same thing of you could have two people say the exact same poem. You're gonna know which one of them is the one that wrote it because of the way that they deliver the poem. And it's not about how you say it, it's or what you say, sorry. It's not about what you're saying, it's about how you're delivering it. You know the nuance of somebody that really felt that when they wrote it. You know, it's not just I wrote it. Well, they felt it when they wrote it, and you can feel that in the delivery from them on it, right? I've always believed that. That's why I don't perform other people's poems, because I didn't write it. You're gonna know it's not gonna be that same guma, if we can say it. Now that mixed with how much you're willing to be consistent and persistent in what you do, right? That people can also see, because whether you're a NIM or you're using your real name online, that identity becomes that identity. And that identity, if that is really who you are, people are like when I'm OKIN, right? So that's not my real name. I created that name as an artist. I created it. It's a pen name, basically. It's a pseudonym. So I've always known what pseudonyms are, right? But now you've got people like, oh, that's OKIN. He likes to, you know, he's loud and he likes to party and he rambles, but that's me and how I engage. That's not a character that I'm creating that I can't be again. Because again, if you create a character and you put forward this character, the mask is gonna crack sometime and people are gonna be like, inauthentic. Maybe what else was he inauthentic about? What else can't we trust from this person? My hands are washed, right? So now, firstly, don't try to be trusted. That's always what I said. I don't try to be trusted. I just try to be OKIN. I'm having fun. I'm meeting people. I'm living my dreams. Like 10-year-old me is mad happy right now. Like every little kid's jumping up and enjoy every day. But it's because I'm authentically me. And I feel that gravitates people to you. They want to listen to your story. They want to engage with you because you're being you. Not trying to be the person. I'm not trying to be 10,000 likes. I'm trying to be OKIN. If you like it 10,000 times, thank you. But I'm not trying to be 10,000 likes. I'm not monetizing this thing in that way. And I think that is what people need to remember in the space of authenticity is how you literally are. Like, it's not something that you can go and learn to be. you have to be it from self. And people can tell when you're being inauthentic with things that you do. Right? And if they can't at the beginning, they will sooner or later.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we need to bring in with the whole, yes, we've got, these different aspects, but if you cannot be honest and true with yourself within the space, And with the people that are around you, then nah, you're gonna not be in the space for that long,
Yeah.
or build what you wanted to build initially.
Yeah. Isn't that just the truth? Be yourself, and I think also tell your tell your Bitcoin story, because and that's why I love to start it with that, because if you don't have to be out there telling a Bitcoin story or a Bitcoin story you heard, tell yours. And if yours hasn't
Mhm.
even started yet or is just beginning, there's lots of people who feel the same way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you if you want to be out there, because there's a lot of space for that now, a lot of space for people to come out and talk like you and I are doing right now,
Mhm.
because people are
Mhm.
wanting to learn about that. So I think that's also an important point there, is I love what you were saying about that authenticity, and that's what made me sort of think about that. Be authentic with everything you do,
Yeah.
very important. Okay, so final sort of thought, what is over the next year, looking back over last year, it was a bit topsy-turvy in the Bitcoin world. But, the people that are here are still building, and that's what's most important, weeding out
Yeah.
the weeds or whatever. But, yeah, let's talk about just looking forward for Africa over 2026,
Mhm.
Bitcoin and
Ooh.
Africa. Yeah, let's just get the,
Oh,
because you can't tell the future. I'm not asking you to tell the future. Let's maybe rephrase it. What are you excited about? What are you excited about happening?
everything. Every I'm so excited about Bitcoin in Africa. You guys have that's why I'm always wearing like this is another initiative from another Bitcoin collective in Africa. And like
I turn
if
around, I
people
can't read it from that side. I feel like I want to go
oh
like,
but like no seriously, there are so many things that are being built, so many builders that I've been speaking with across the continent. Um like things that you wouldn't even think about, like it's there, it's being built, and it's going to make things so much easier, interactive, fun again, like, oh, let's have some fun and actually be able to enjoy life doing, you know saving doesn't have to be boring. Like speaking about finance and speaking about your future does not have to be boring. It can be very exciting. And I truly believe what Africans are busy building with on off ramps, things like Tando in Kenya, things like Butsako, things like Money Badger in South Africa. Think gridless them, and with the miner that they built that uses excess electricity versus actually pulling from electricity. Like there are so many, but they are African centric. They were built, they're African solutions for African problems. And that's what I love to see. And you're seeing it so much with same thing that happened with Machankura. It was literally a thing of how do you send Bitcoin in places where there's no internet connection, where people don't have smartphones? Does it mean that they shouldn't be able to save to be able to transact? No, it doesn't. But how do you solve that if you're not looking at the problem? And if you
yeah,
don't understand the problem? And Africans, we understand our problems because they're ours. So we should be the ones to build the solutions because we understand it. We'll understand if the solution will work or not. Now, if somebody else builds it, it's like, no, they said that they needed a solution, I built the solution. They're not using it right. No, the solution doesn't work because you don't understand the problem. You were just given a brief and you built what the brief said, but you
yeah,
don't understand the nuance of the brief. And that is where and that's why I'm excited because you now have developers and people that even weren't developers before coming into the space being taught how to develop for Bitcoin. And then you bring AI, and again, not everybody likes AI. For me, it's once again a conversation about a hammer. The hammer is not good or bad. What
yes,
is your intent as the person using the hammer? I can break down a house with a hammer or I can build a house.
mm,
It's the same hammer. The question is, what is my intent with the tool? Now, the intent of the people that built the tool, it's also different from the intent of the people that utilize the tool. Not everything that was built was that's how we got, postage stamps. They weren't supposed to be built. It was a mistake. But it's because of how it was utilized in a different intent. And
mm,
in that is how I think AI is supposed to be looked at. I speak to musicians and they're always like, I don't understand these contracts, bro. But you ask ChatGPT how to, well, bro, give it the contract and tell it to explain it to you like you're 10 years old. Even tell it, give it to me in Samurai Jack
yeah,
or Powerpuff Girls lingo and understand the thing. But you're not even willing to do that. That's you want to ask her to send emails, bro. That's you using the tool wrong. And that's what I mean by the intent. That's it. It's all about intent.
Yeah, I love it. God, listen, I'm a big fan of AI. My friend is getting divorced. This is not funny. That part of the story.
Wow. Okay. From AI to that's a jump.
Before we end off the show, I just want to say hi to my friend who's getting divorced. No, that's not what I want to say. Anyway, her dad is a lawyer, very well known and respected lawyer, right? So now he's having these divorce proceedings, but she's called her AI the same name as her dad. Okay, her dad's name is Kevin.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So when she goes and meeting with her lawyer, she says, "So Kevin says, blah blah blah." I'm talking about my dad, but I'm not. So they're all agreeing with me. They don't know they're talking to her AI, Kevin. Anyway, I thought that was so funny. But yes, use your AI. Call it what you want.
Most definitely.
Your lawyer, use it as anything.
Yeah, it's a tool. Use your tools. You don't have to be religiously following the tool. It's a tool. You know, nobody's praying to a mouse, but we use it because we don't want to be using. So it's really just intent for me and what people want to do with the tools in front of them.
Exactly. And if you're not sure how, ask AI how you are going to invest in Bitcoin. So there we go. How can you
ask?
Yes.
Ask AI how to buy a ticket to Adopting Bitcoin 2026 in Cape Town, and then come through and learn in person while doing. We have many workshops. Melanie's gonna be there, so cheerful Melanie's gonna. You wanna come see Melanie on stage? I'll be there. I mean, I'm the host, so I have to be there.
We better phone them up and ask them for a longer slot. Do you see? We can't just do 40 minutes. We're gonna need a lot more time.
Don't worry. I've adjusted our presentation from the little bit of power that I have.
Okay, well there we go. Come and join us. We're gonna be in Cape Town on the 29th and the 30th of January.
30th and 31st.
Well, I'm going to be in Cape Town on the 28th, 29th.
Yeah, there's pre-stuff. The conference is 30th, 31st. That whole week, there's all activities, side activities, movie nights. There's a lot. There's cocktail dinners. There's a lot of stuff. It's going to be fun.
So what is the website? We may as well send people there. What is it? It is...
Whoa. I don't know. I should know the website.
Just, Google Adopting Bitcoin.
I should have it. Yeah, Adopting Bitcoin's website. It's coming up. Please, internet, don't fail me now. Oh, yeah. So that's ZA26 dot.
Can you let me share this?
Oh, yeah, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, no. This is no, that one I can't. I can send you the link, though. That screen is way too busy. There's AI things happening there.
My screen, no.
Okay, I can send it to you. But the best thing to do is to go to the Adopting Bitcoin Twitter page, and then from there just click through.
Yeah.
Because it's straight to the link for the tickets. Is the link on the Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town page. So you click on that, and you will be taken straight to go buy your ticket. If you're an African in Africa, the ticket is cheaper. Don't tell anybody.
There we go. See. All right. Well, it's been an amazing conversation with you. I can't wait to see you in Cape Town. And it was lovely to meet you. So check out OKIN. You can go your on Twitter. It is is it at _OKIN or at OKIN?
At OKIN. So it's at OKIN_17. And the cool thing is you can find me with that handle everywhere. Literally, even in gaming, if you play games, I'm also at OKIN_17 everywhere. Instagram, everywhere. It's just the same one.
There we go. All right. So look for OKIN, AKINA. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, you can see I know how to spell. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to Bitcoin and Beyond. I'm Melanie Carstens. I've been chatting to OKIN all day, all afternoon. It feels like it's been incredible, and I can't wait to
do some
more in person. Yeah, thanks, guys. And remember, this is independent Bitcoin media. We brought to you with no adverts and no corporate sponsorship. So if you do like it, please please share. Please subscribe on YouTube, and you can head over. I do have a link as well. There's a lot more details in my bio as to support. So appreciate it. Have a beautiful day further, and we'll see you again this time next week here on X and YouTube. OKIN, I'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks for joining me. Bye.
Thank you for having me, Melanie. Have a great one.
Bye.
Ooh, hot. Why is it so hot?